Sijui kama unajua miaka 30 inakuja, itakuwa ngumu kwetu kuconvince watoto ya kwamba mtu kama Oscar Sudi hakusoma, ni engineer lakini zilikuwa zinapeanwa. Itakuwa ni ngumu sana kuelezea mtu kama Sakaja certificate yake alipewa na judge, hakupewa na shule, alienda kotini, judge akaamua kama ni ukweli ama si ukweli, alisoma.
Because when I was Minister for Education, I used to tell people the easiest way to destroy a country is to begin with this rubbish about people who have got to go to court to look for court orders to prove that they went to school. Because if you went to school, how did you go to a school where you don't have a classmate, you don't have a teacher, and you are depending on a judge to make a ruling that you actually went to school.
Kama kawaida Kenya, mambo ni mengi sana, muda ni mchache. Nataka tusikize tofauti ya elimu na hekima. Hekima ni muhimu zaidi. Unaweza kosa elimu ile ya kawaida ya kwenda shule na uongoze inchi kwa hekima ambayo Solomon aliombanga. Lakini ukikosa zote mbili, ukose masomo na ukose hekima, kimeumana. Na pia kuna pahali fulani ambapo kama ni sheria imewekwa ya kwamba lazima ukuwe na cheti fulani ili ukuwe kiongozi kwa hii level, ni vizuri kuheshimu pia ile sheria ambayo imewekwa. Otherwise itakuwa sheria ni kwa huyu mtu kwa sababu ako na pesa, kwa ule mwingine ambaye hana pesa, na hakutakuwa na order katika ile nchi. So nataka tusikize video ambayo iko hapa. Instead ya kiongozi kuzungumza kuhusu kutengeneza barabara, yeye anazungumza kuhusu michoro ya gari ambazo ziko ndani ya ile gari. Sikiza hii video.
Na hii mambo ati graffiti na mziki kwa matatu ati wanasema ni mbaya. Hiyo ni ufala ya zamani sana. Mama 3, cheki. It's part of our culture. Si tumegrow up tukiona mama 3, namba 6, namba 9, kina Tupac Shakur, kina nani. That is part of our culture. So kama mtu anataka matatu haina mziki, angoje aingie ile na mziki. Na kama mtu anataka ile kona ngoma, si ndio hiyo? Kama mtu anataka ile kona ngoma, aingie ile kona ngoma.
And when you ask me, people are saying, who am I? Where did I come from? There are people in this room. I have seen people here since I came to Minnesota. I grew up with, people I went to school with. I grew up in the village, walking to school. 5 kilometers in the morning, 5 kilometers for lunch, 5 kilometers back to school after lunch, and 5 kilometers back home in the evening. So that was like 20 kilometers a day. Because that is true. Prof, if you estimate the distance from my home to Manga Primary School is like 5 kilometers. And then I was there in primary school, we were together. I said last night I'm one of those people who does not need to go to court to get an order to prove that I went to school. Because I'm not like some people in Kenya who claim, because when I was Minister for Education, I used to tell people the easiest way to destroy a country is to begin with this rubbish about people who have got to go to court to look for court orders to prove that they went to school. Because if you went to school, how did you go to a school where you don't have a classmate, you don't have a teacher, and you are depending on a judge to make a ruling that you actually went to school. You know, my friends, I want to tell you this. There is a way in which we have destroyed our country by this silly behavior, doing things that normal people don't do. Because you see, going to school is a black and white situation. You either went or did not go. And I used to tell people, I am not the one who wrote the law. I believe that you can be a good leader even if you actually do not have a degree, but you wrote the law in parliament and said for you to be governor, you actually need a degree. So respect the law. As it were, you wrote the law. Because that dishonesty is a subject I will go to another day, but I can tell you this. We've had people who have actually served as governors in Kenya who did not go to university. They bought papers, they carried papers, they went to court, got some order, bribed some electoral institution, and approved them. I was the Minister for Education when the Commission for University Education one time, a candidate presented a certificate, and please, I'm not, religious leaders who are in the room, I am not looking down upon you. This guy had attended a conference of religious leaders somewhere in South America, and they gave him a certificate of participation in in Spanish or Latin. Then he took it to IBC. Then they cleared it. He said it's a certificate. I did a master's. When later on they found a translator, they said no, it says certificate of participation. This is not a degree. You know, that's why I'm telling you, one candidate for position of governor presented a PhD certificate that she couldn't even defend. When someone asked her, what was your thesis on? She said, what is a thesis? How would you have, I know we are innovators in Kenya, but some innovation is it's a joke, as it were. So, my brothers and sisters, so Dr. Bogongo, that's the story of my life. Grew up with all these wonderful people you see here, Professor Otiso, going to Manga Primary School, and sometimes I tell media when they challenge me and Gen Zs who are in the room, I didn't drop from Mars or from Jupiter. And I have lived this life, simple, what you see is what you get, straightforward, raised by parents who are, materially poor but very rich in spirit and love for us and commitment. The other day, I was telling some lawyers here in a room that, and there's the last thing I will say on that particular score, that one day I will tell the whole story in full length in my book when it comes out, that I would never have gone to school or I would never have finished school without my mother. My mother is the most patient person on earth, because interesting. Every day between, I think, standard 1 and standard 3, every single day I went to school, I lost my pencil. I frankly don't know how it got lost, but I lost it. Kefa is here, he can testify to that. I think in climbing trees, eating guavas in Mosoti's compound, and so on, somehow, it was some miserable thing you could not manage properly. It just gets lost. I didn't know what used to happen. And my mother worked hard. I don't know anybody in this world who's more patient. She would go to the market and sell milk, sell her wares. And every Sunday come home, she would go to the market twice a month. Once a fortnight, she would be at the marketplace. Then she buys a set of pencils.
Asanteni sana na karibuni sana. Kwa majina yangu naitwa Kip Zakari. Kenya mambo ni mengi sana, muda ni mchache, na kama ni mara yako ya kwanza kabisa kufika hapa siku ya leo, mtazamaji mwenzangu, na kuomba uweze kusubscribe, like and share, inapoenda kuwekea video kama hizi za kisiasa unakuwa kwanza kabisa kupopin na kupata uhondo wa siasa zetu nchini Kenya, Afrika na dunia nzima, bila kuegemea side yote ukabila, siasa wala dini.